Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, David.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hate's not the right word. I don't like the obvious answer on things sometimes.
Okay.
Even though the obvious answer oftentimes is correct.
Okay.
So, CBS Sports has an article about the games top 25 teams have circled on their calendar for next season.
Okay.
Who do you think they have for A&M?
Texas.
Yeah. I don't like that it's Texas because I don't want there's that narrative that A&M thinks about Texas more than they think about the other games, right? But in reality, in this particular situation, it's true. 2 years in a row, they have beat you back in the SEC. They ended your chances of going to an SEC championship 2 years in a row. And they're your 90-mile-away rival. So absolutely, it should be the game penciled on your circled on your calendar.
If it was me, I would say the game to circle, obviously that LSU game early, that would be one. But in fact, that'd probably be the one. That's also a rival, and it's early. And if you win that game, it probably tells me that you're going to have another really successful season.
Yeah, and I like the way you're thinking. I am not as worried about the first half of the season as I am the last 5 games of the season.
Well,
that gauntlet of going on the road twice at Alabama, 3 times at Alabama, at South Carolina, sandwiched in between that, it's going to be Tennessee, and then at Oklahoma, then Texas. That's the part of the schedule that I'm like, okay. And I know we don't know anything. I'm just talking about going on the road in the SEC. Like Oklahoma may not be what they were this past year. South Carolina may be better. Alabama, I think we all have an opinion. It looks like they're going to be definitely down this year.
I'm blocked. Who are they playing after LSU?
After LSU, it's Arkansas at Missouri, the Citadel.
Okay, see, I'm thinking if you beat LSU, there's a great chance you're going into that Alabama game as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0. And just sitting here today, I think there's a lot of more questions about Alabama than there are A&M.
Yeah.
So, South Carolina, I think that if you beat LSU, there's a great chance that you will go into November undefeated.
And then it comes back to me, the BAS that I sometimes have, and I'm like, but it's November.
Well,
it's November.
Well, I mean, that's true. You got to prove yourself in November.
Yeah.
But I want to be having. Well, look, if you're 6-5 and beat Texas, yeah, it's always going to be a big deal to beat Texas,
but not that big of a deal.
But again, I've been saying this since I got here in 2012, and to me, Texas is not the end-all, be-all. There are bigger things than beating Texas. I want to beat them bad. Don't get me wrong. But would you rather be 10-2 and having lost to Texas, or be 7-5 with a win over Texas?
10-2.
Well, yeah, I would think, even though I do think that there's a huge faction out there. Yeah. I can remember when I first moved here in '93, and people would say, "I don't care if we go 1-11 as long as we beat Texas."
But take away Texas from the equation. If let's say it was Missouri that you lost to end your chances of going to the SEC championship game 2 years in a row, then it would be Missouri the team that I would have circled. So it's not Texas for the rivalry reasons. It's for what that game has meant to A&M
But
season.
if you're not taking care of those early games, I think LSU is the key there. Then you're not playing Texas for a chance to get into the SEC championship.
This is what CBS Sports has to say. Texas A&M doesn't need much motivation against a rival like Texas, but the Longhorns knocked out the Aggies out of the SEC championship game last season, and A&M's once promising season spiraled from there. There was only one other game against the hottest team in football. Revenge is a great motivator, especially in a prolific clash like this one.
Well, I don't even know if revenge is an issue in the Texas A&M game. I mean, do you really need revenge to want to beat those guys?
No, I mean,
to me, that's somebody that's kind of a little bit ignorant.
Yeah,
but revenge is not a factor. You hate them every single day, and they hate you every single day, whether you beat them. I don't think if you beat Texas in 2026, it makes you want to beat them any less in 2027. Or if you lose to them in 25, it doesn't make you want to beat them any more, I think, in 2026, just from all the years I've lived here and knowing what that game means and the vitriol they have for them.
Well, but I wonder what players today think about it.
Well, that's a whole different deal. I think, and it's a theory. It's a theory that while the teams at A&M last year had a lot to play for, and so and all the things that are there might be just I was always curious did the game, when you had so many guys from out of state, does it mean as much, in your gut than from the guys Texas, which had a lot of Texas guys on there?
I think for the players that played in the game this year,
I'm not discounting how much they wanted to win.
Watching Texas celebrate and watching the fans, the end of that game, I think they're going to carry that into next season.
Maybe. I hope so.
I think they will. Another little note for you, all right? Saturday down south, they did their power rankings for college or SEC basketball.
Okay.
Number one on their list is?
Florida.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
I don't like it. I love it, but I don't like it.
As much as impressed with what the Aggies are doing, they look so good. And you're saying, well, they're beating bottom end teams. Yeah, but they also beat Auburn, and those bottom end teams, they're just blowing out. Even when they beat Texas by 4, that game was, Texas A&M had to make some mistakes late, and that's easy to clean up.
And Texas has got 3 really quality wins over the last 2 weeks.
Texas is not a bad team. So anyway, they say that, but they're blowing them out. Look, I think A&M still has more to prove.
Yeah.
And they can go a long way toward proving that if they can beat Georgia on Saturday in Athens.
Saturday Down South says, welcome to the top, Aggies. Buckyball is officially the story of the SEC.
I'll give them that.
Yeah. I mean, they deserve it today to be I don't like.
They're in first place. Enjoy it.
It's weird because when my teams don't get accolades, I get upset. And when they get their accolades, I'm like, hey, let's relax on the accolades. I want us to stay hungry.
No, I like it. I mean, I like people are talking about them and giving them respect for what they've done because they've earned that. I'm just saying, for me, okay, Olin Buchanan just says, look, I'm impressed. I'm enjoying it, but I got to see more before I'm saying this is the best team in the SEC.
Okay, at what point?
And I bet you Bucky McMillan would say that too.
I'm going to assume the LSU game for football is when you're like, okay, I do believe this team is a top 3 or 4 team. Was there a game last season where you're like, all right, now I believe it?
Well, Notre Dame sold me quite a bit.
Okay.
Because I knew that Notre Dame was good. And when you go up there and beat them, I know they weren't good, but you'll remember this because, David will tell you, I'm usually pretty stoic in the press box. But there was one game.
I know which one.
And it was Auburn.
Yep.
Because, first of all, you had to follow up that win over.
He was like standing up and like passionate.
Well, I wasn't that standing, but
you can't handle it. I remember that.
But, first of all, you needed to follow up. You need to follow up that Notre Dame win with a win. Otherwise, you look like, okay, you're that team that can get up for a week. Mm-hmm. But historically, you look, and when they beat Auburn, it's a good year. If you don't believe me, go look at it. Historically, 2013 might be a little bit different. The years you beat Auburn, you have a strong year. The years you lose to Auburn, it's a really disappointing year.
That's true.
Go look it up.
Hey, I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
They don't play Auburn this year.
They do not. They do not.
Can't follow that.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You tell me if you think these people are Hall of Famers.
Okay.
Or first ballot Hall of Famers.
First ballot.
Okay. John Wooden.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick Saban.
Of course.
It might get a little interesting here. Greg Popovich. I'm not talking.
I know. Yeah. I mean, yes, okay. He is. It's just that and we're going to say the same thing about who's coming up to a certain degree, but Popovich jumped on, took over a team that had David Robinson, and then they added
Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili.
There's every coach in the NBA can win with that. And then when he started running out of those guys, okay, they had 1 year with Leonard. They did. Kawhi Leonard did well, but when those guys are gone, he took Tim Duncan off the court when all it would have taken to win the NBA championship was a rebound. You take your best rebounder off the court, and everybody tells me what a genius he is. BS. And then it's when he started losing guys, not only were they bad, but they were, bottom of the barrel bad.
Yep.
But was he the coach during that, dare I say, dynasty?
Yeah.
Then yes, he is a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Pat Riley.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of talent too, but he does it everywhere.
Yeah, but that talent wasn't winning.
Yeah.
Before he took over.
Correct. You could potentially say the same thing about Popovich, who took over. Who they fired?
Well, they were winning. Brian Hill. Was it Brian Hill?
Brian Hill got them to the Western Conference Finals. Where
they were winning.
They just weren't popping.
And then, but remember, Pat Riley then goes to, I think, New York, and they did well. And then he went to
Miami
and won a championship. And then he became Riley, sure.
Riley's a Hall of Famer.
In fact, they ought to just name it the Riley Hall of Fame.
Okay. Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
How the hell is he not a first ballot? I don't love the dude.
No.
I don't think what he's doing with North Carolina should have any. But that's just some bitter media.
It is.
He's a Hall of Famer.
And, you got to, I would think as a voter, like when I talk about being a Heisman voter, I think that's a great honor. So you got to take it seriously. So if Arch Manning, if I can look at it and say, look, Arch Manning's the best player.
You're going to vote.
And he goes to Texas. And what if the second best player in my mind is Marcel Reed? I have to take a step back and remove any biases I have and say, all right, yeah, maybe, look, Marcel's done this and this, but in the bigger game, the big game, let's say, Arch outplayed him, right? I would have to vote for Arch. And people here will be mad at me. But I would have to follow what I think is the right thing and not what I want.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing it should be if you're given that honor to vote on the Hall of Fame is you got to look at it and say, you know what? Yeah, I think the whole Spygate thing was an issue and he was always mumbling and wouldn't give anybody a straight answer, just being a jerk on purpose. But the bottom line is, he had Tom Brady when Tom Brady was gone. They did, they crumbled, and then Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay and they won a Super Bowl. So obviously, it was the guy was the coach for 5, 6 Super
Bowls, right? Yeah. 6 Super Bowls. Yeah.
You have to put that
in
guy
different
in.
generations of the Patriots.
Yeah, you have to put that guy in.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. When he was winning Super Bowls, people were asking if he's the greatest coach ever in the history of the NFL.
They were. I don't think he is, but
is Bill Parcells?
No, Vince Lombardi, man.
Right. Just curious. Well, where are you on Bill Parcells?
Oh, he's a top 10 guy probably. Yeah. Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll took a terrible Steelers franchise.
To me,
and I hated him because he was having a lot of his success against my team.
I may argue with myself later for saying, but you're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. For instance, I know the smoke around Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. To me, they're Hall of Famers. They are. If Carlos Beltran just got into the Baseball Hall of Fame, then Jose Altuve is absolutely going to get in.
My take on that is that baseball knew what was going on and allowed it. Because I remember George Bush, when he was the owner of the
Rangers,
of the Rangers, he even made some kind of, look, this is going on. They didn't want to stop it because it was almost saving the game because of the big home run year. If baseball knew what was going on, let it happen, then why are you going to?
But I guess back to the original point, you're either a Hall of Famer or not. Now, does off the field play a role for? I mean, I know that's supposed to be part of the voting criteria. Bill Belichick, pretty much clean off the field, right? Like, I mean, he had Spygate. The whole Jordan Hudson thing has nothing to do with his time in the NFL.
Hell, that's a reason to put him in the Hall of Fame, if you ask me.
So I just think it's ridiculous.
Like 70 years old and she's 25.
Vendettas.
You got my vote.
Tell the people what the name of the show is.
This is TexAgs Live.
And we're presented by
David Gardner's Jewelers, gem of a guy. You can get a big old diamond ring to give your Jordan Hudson.
Or you can just get a fake Hall of Fame ring from David Gardner's Jewelers.
He can take care of whatever you need.
And we're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Jason, Jackson, Keith, and Morgan and the boys.
We are hanging out at the Holistic
Planning Cool Zone, because nothing's cooler than making money, saving money, and investing money.
That's right. And this hour, we've labeled this hour with a name.
The Go Hour.
Presented by The Warehouse.
I was pausing for dramatic effect. Sorry. The Warehouse at CC Creations.
Sometimes I wonder if you're pausing to look to see if you can see what the sponsor is.
I got that one down. the one that sponsors the Go Hour, it's the O in Go Hour is Olin.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up on the
Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
And that phone number is 979
693
1150.
Yeah.
You can also text us on the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line. That number is?
You just said it. 979 693 1150.
And we go around the room, left to right, say hi to the people. Behind the glass is our dear friend, our director, Nick Savage. What's up, Nick?
Howdy, good morning, y'all. I'm going to bounce off of the topic y'all threw out earlier in terms of what game I have circled. And I agree with you completely, OB. I think it's that LSU game at the beginning of the season, just because, like you mentioned, if you go on the road and beat Lane Kiffin, you're probably going to have a pretty good season. But I'll do the next game I have circled. And I'm looking at that October 24th game at Alabama. That's going to be the first time A&M has gone to Bama since 2022. And you know, who knows what they'll be like. We're not very sure how Alabama will be next year, but that's an interesting one to me. I feel like if they can go on the road second half of the season and get that win, I'll feel pretty good about that rough stretch they have after that bye week.
Let's hear from the people on this, by the way, because, I mean, we all may have a different opinion. We will have a different opinion. 979-693-1115 calls for Texas. Because the way I look at it is because A&M beat LSU, I am not as worried about LSU. It doesn't mean I don't think that that's going to be a very hard, meaningful game. I just don't think of it the same way. If A&M loses to LSU, then in the 27 season, that'll be the game I'm circling. But because A&M lost to Texas, that's the game I'm circling. That's just the way I operate.
Well, once again, I think you could say, what game is Alabama going to circle? Auburn. What game is Georgia going to circle? Florida, and vice versa.
Well, I think Georgia might circle, or Texas may circle Ohio State. Don't they have Ohio State at home? And they lost to Ohio State.
Yeah, but they're going to circle, and people are going to get mad at me, but having lived in Austin, I know they're going to circle the Oklahoma game.
Yep.
But yeah, the Ohio State game is going to mean to them what the LSU game means to us. It's a really big early game, and if you win it, you all of a sudden have the inside track to the playoff, and not only a playoff, but a first round bye, because it's such a big win. As long as you don't trip all over yourself.
Let me give you who they have. They're the top 5 who they have circled according to CBS Sports. Ohio State's game circled against number 8 Indiana, the national champions, and the team that beat them. Texas has Ohio State circled, and that's because they lost to Ohio State. I mean, there's other reasons, but it's a huge home game for them. Georgia.
They talk about revenge in any of those?
Let's see. Texas has early season home game against preseason number 1. Huge opportunity for Texas to prove it's ready to the national stage. Nothing about revenge.
Nothing about revenge, huh?
Okay, number 3, Georgia, the game they have circled on the schedule. At number 15, Alabama. They did lose to Alabama during the regular season. Number 4, Oregon. They have Ohio State circled. They lost to Ohio State. Number 5, this one's interesting, Notre Dame. They have BYU.
They have such a cakewalk.
They do.
BYU's probably the best team they play.
Yeah.
And we saw how good they were. Texas Tech just took them to the woodshed twice.
Yep. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither making her debut here on the program. What up, Kayla?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
We're great. So tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, how you got the TexAgs.
Yeah, so I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm a senior here at Texas A&M University, and I'm an intern this spring, and I'm really excited to be here.
Big sports fan?
I am a big sports fan.
What sport do you like most?
Well, I grew up in the NFL. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, actually. My mom's from Pittsburgh, but I love the Aggies, and I'm a diehard Aggie fan.
What the heck is going on? We got this Justin's an Eagles fan because his mom, and now Steelers fan. And
how do you feel about the Steelers head coach situation?
I don't know if I can ride the train yet. I mean, I saw Mike McCarthy's press conference when he was announced as head coach, so I'm a little more tuned in, but I don't know.
I'm going to let OB talk about Mike McCarthy, his favorite head coach of all time.
I'll just say, being a Dallas Cowboys fan and a Steelers hater, I am celebrating that Mike McCarthy is the coach of the Steelers. I think you could take, one of those pallets.
Yep.
I think you could take a pallet and they do those things called liposuction, right? And they just take fat and you could feel like a big pillar, make a big pillar and set it on fat and set it on one of those pillars. And one of those pallets, and just put it on the 50-yard line of a game. And it probably has as much impact on a game, and maybe even more, because if there's a gust of wind, it might shake. It looks like it's saying no, like it makes a decision. I think Mike McCarthy's a horrible coach.
How do you feel now, Kayla?
Not so keen on that one.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel.
Do you have anything you want to report this morning?
I actually want to talk about some basketball. So our basketball guy, Luke Evangelist, put out a tweet yesterday. He said that 84 brackets on bracketmetrics.com have been updated since the weekend, and the Aggies are starting to build momentum as a top 8 seed. 2 brackets have them as a 7 seed, 32 have them as the 8 seed, 41 has them as at the 9 seed, and 9 people have them as the 10 seed. The average seed for the Aggies is 8.68.
In 3 weeks, if they're around there or better, then I'm going to start really celebrating this stuff. But
it's very early.
The next 5 games, if you fare well in those 5 games, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm all in on looking at the NCAA tournament possibilities. Until they play those 5 games, I think it's all premature.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. A couple different things I want to get into on the other side, OB. I'm going to talk to you about how long a player should be able to play college sports. Okay? Which is an interesting topic because I can see it multiple ways. I have an empathetic view, and I also have a old school point of view. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Right now, let's go eat. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's venture down on the way to the airport. You make a left. You go like you're going to Snook, and you stop at a place called 1775. Then take me through the next scene.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't take Mike McCarthy with me because I want to eat some of it myself.
Right.
I don't want him to hog it all because I want some of that succulent brisket, and I want some of those amazing pork ribs. And that jalapeno cheese sausage is chef kiss. And you know what? If McCarthy did come, I'd say, hey, Mike, dude, have the turkey. It's really good, and you need to watch the LBs. So have the turkey, and then I'd say, hey, let's order 2. Mike, let's order 2 of the queso mac and cheese. And I put them out there, and I'd say, this is amazing. And then when he reached for it, I go, no, you can't have any because the way you screwed up my Cowboys. And then I would eat it in front of him. He'd probably reach over and choke me.
It's very big of you to go to lunch with him, though, in this scenario. You'll go to lunch with anybody.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I'm a big guy in different ways.
Different ways. Huh. You got a big brain.
Look at the big brain on Brad.
It is 1775. The website is 1775txbbq.com. Or call them up, 979-492-6241.
He would try to steal my my barbecue because he's a Steeler.
But would it say it's good?
He would say, it's good. It's good.
I'm Wes Mingan, and I live on a piece of property with my wife and 2 boys and several animals. I work in oil and gas, and I travel a lot, and so when I come home, it's like my sanctuary. I get to see Lauren and the boys, and it's been just a perfect fit for us, and it's really improved our family time. And this is the first land I'd ever purchased, so dealing with the land side of things and dealing with Capital Farm Credit was super easy for us through the whole process. I definitely feel like with Capital Farm Credit, together we are better.
And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, a Miami linebacker, Mohamed Toure, really good player, is trying to return for his 8th season of college football. Let me explain to you how it works. Torrey's first college football season came in 2019 with Rutgers.
Okay.
He redshirted.
Okay. Redshirt years out of the way.
Gaining a year later on, right? He then lost his 2020.
2020 didn't count.
2022 and 2024 seasons due to injury, and 2 ACL injuries and COVID, thus adding 3 years down the road. So
he had COVID when?
COVID automatically is 2020.
2020, yeah. You don't lose.
Okay.
That year didn't count.
Okay, but he played that year.
Yeah, but it still didn't count.
Didn't count, right? So 2019 was his first year.
But he redshirted.
Redshirted.
So now, basically, 2021 eligibility-wise, he's a freshman.
Yeah. And then 2021 he does play.
Okay.
But then he gets hurt in 2022.
Okay.
So gets that year back, I guess.
Does he not play at all in 2022?
He doesn't play enough for it to count. Okay. And 2024, he lost it. And then, so there you go. 3 injuries, 2 ACL injuries, COVID, and redshirting. So that added 3 years down the road. And he's trying to come back. If you can look up Mohamed Torres, how much he played those seasons that he got hurt.
So that's going to be 26.
Yeah, he'll be 26 at the end of next season.
The age thing doesn't bother me because, they've had.
Yeah.
BYU typically will have a guy, they have guys that serve 2 years of their Mormon mission and then come. So the age.
Rashawn Aggie's 25.
Right. And then, Chris Winkie won the Heisman Trophy at 28.
Yep.
So the age thing doesn't bother me.
I think you have to take X amount of classes in college to be a college athlete. If I were making the rules.
I'll give you that.
Or
I
you're
thought
in
the
your
whole
master's
Carson
program.
Beck thing was disgraceful. When he said, I haven't been to class all, I've graduated.
Yeah, but I think he took on a second major and didn't have as many classes. But
but what he said was that he graduated. He doesn't. All right. Yeah, I think you need to be in college to be a college football player. Do you have that answer?
Yeah, it says here that he missed the entire 2022 and 2024 season, so
Right.
he didn't play games.
So, I mean,
here's kind of what
but did he take classes those years? Because after 8 years, you should have 3 majors.
I can see giving you a year for beyond your redshirt year because of an injury. Hey, you had a bad break, sorry.
Mhm.
But 2?
Right.
First of all, I'll say this. I think they ought to go, you get 5 years of eligibility, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, grad. Okay? I mean, that's where it's going. So give them the 5 years, and then you can get
5
a
years to
redshirt
play 4 or 5 years to play 5?
5 years to play 5.
Okay.
And then, I can sign off on a redshirt year in those 5 years.
Okay.
Because most of the guys, if you're really good, you're going to be going out before that anyway.
Yep. Well, you wouldn't need if it's 5 and 5, you wouldn't need.
But what I'm saying is, I'm 5 and 5. You get to play 5 years, and you get a redshirt year.
Oh, so it could be 6.
So yeah.
Okay.
But this guy you're talking about, how many?
8. This will be his 8th season.
Yeah. I'm not. To me, that's extreme. Now, if you want to come to me and say, yeah, but he's still in college and he's taking grad school class, I'm like, I might be able to be persuaded. But you better be a student.
Well, let's play this game like if it was grade
But when
school.
does it end?
Let's play this game like if it's grade school.
See, I think they were wrong on Pavia by saying that your junior college years don't count.
But in grade school,
Okay.
if you fail 7th grade, yeah, you can play on the 7A team. Okay? But if you pass 7th grade, you've got to play on the 8th grade team. So in college, I think hours of how many hours you're taking should matter.
Well, it should. Now, here's the deal. Do they think they're going to get that? Because they haven't.
It says he's trying. I don't know if
haven't they denied Trinidad Chambliss?
No, they haven't. I mean, they denied him, but he's in court.
They're in court.
Yeah.
And I would think that if you deny Trinidad Chambliss, this guy has to be denied because I think Trinidad Chambliss has a better case.
It says 3 days ago, a New York Post, Miami linebacker Torre granted rare 8th year. So he was granted it.
Then how is Chambliss not? See, that's the thing that drives people crazy about
this. Is okay for this guy, but not this guy.
And they'll split hairs, and sometimes the hairs they split still doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. But Most people believe that Chambliss is going to get in. He's going to be able to
Yeah,
play.
but who was it? Is it the NCAA that signed off on Mohamed Torre?
Yep.
Okay, then why are they not signing off on Trinidad? Why does Trinidad Chambliss have
I
to
have
go
no
to?
idea.
Well, why did Rashawn Agee have to go get
Injunction.
an injunction?
Yep.
See, and remember that rant I went on yesterday
Yeah.
about how much I detest the NCAA.
This is part of the reason.
There you go.
This is one of the reasons. Set a break. We'll come back. OB, in the next segment, we're going to talk about ESPN's top 100 players from this past season.
All right.
You're going to have to guess how many Aggies are on the list.
Okay.
And then ballpark where you think they might be.
All right.
All right. Right now, we are talking about Rollo Insurance. Insurance decisions shouldn't be made in 15 minutes or less. That's why you need to go with the Rollo Insurance Group that's going to make their decisions based on their time with you, their quality time with you, where they get to know your specific situation, your family needs, and exactly where you're trying to go with your insurance future. They have expertise in everything from home to auto to business to specialty coverage. Their independent agents provide options tailored to your specific need, and they take time to explain this in plain language so you know exactly what your coverage is all about. Their educational approach empowers you to make informed decisions and help you protect your family, home, and business. Many clients discover better protection rates at competitive times because they finally understand their options. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. We're back on the program. We call it TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour is fun. All right, OB.
Yeah.
College football player rankings. The top 100 players of the 2025 football season according to ESPN.
Okay.
If you were to guess how many Aggies made the top 100, how many would you guess?
See, I'll say this. I think I could see as many as 5, but I don't think ESPN would acknowledge 5 Aggies.
Yep.
So I'm going to say 4 or 3. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say 4.
Okay. Can you tell me who you think these 4
Yeah,
are?
I would say Mario Craver.
Okay.
I would say Casey Concepcion.
Okay.
I would say obviously Cassius Howell and Trey Zoom.
Okay.
Those would be the 4. And I would put.
If they did a 5th, who would it be?
Who was I thinking when I was thinking about this? Now it would have been Le'Veon, but I wouldn't have had him in because had Le'Veon not gotten hurt, maybe somebody like Will Lee.
Okay. The number I got was 3.
Okay, is that what they had?
Yeah, that's what, the number I got when I went through their list, and I had Kayla double check.
So they're taking out Mario, I bet.
No, Mario made it.
Okay, Mario probably came in around somewhere between 85 and 90.
Look at you, 87.
87. Okay.
All right, who was the highest ranked one?
Well, you would think Cassius Howell.
Yeah.
He should be a top 10 guy. I mean, he's the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and yet because I'm skeptical of ESPN anytime it comes to A&M, I'm going to say they put him in the top 15 between 10 and 15, 11 and 15.
They put him at 10.
10. Okay. All right. ESPN, my apologies.
I would have put KC higher than they had him.
I would have had KC probably in the top 25.
He was number 21.
Okay. And then I think they fumbled back. Look, if you'll go back, and ESPN obviously didn't, and look at Trey Zoom again in that Miami game.
He was great.
He was the pass rush from Miami was suffocating. None of it came against Trey Zoom.
Yeah.
Reuben Bain did not get to the quarterback on the times when he was lined up against Trey Zoom. You can go back and check it. He was the co-SEC blocker of the year or something like that. And you're going to tell me that's not a top 100 guy? Okay.
And look, I haven't gone through every player that played from top program. I haven't made my list of 100. I'm not going to, okay? But in my head, I think Marcel Reed is one of the best 100 players in football. I know a lot of people like to point at the last 2 games, and that is definitely a data point we have to look at. But Marcel Reed, I'm sorry, if you are a Heisman contender in November with a game to go, I just don't understand. The math isn't math to me. Marcel should be 100. Yes, he should be one of the 100 best players.
I can understand. They're taking the interceptions and the docketing because of that, and he does have to decrease those, cut those in half. But when Marcel plays, the entire defense is built around, okay, how do we deal with this guy? And I think, as much as I like Colin Klein, one of the areas where I think he was insufficient was even if you don't run Marcel a lot, you need to run him somewhere, get the defense so worried about him running the ball that you can make guys move.
Yeah.
They did it great against South Carolina. Why didn't we see more of that? You remember the play I'm talking about, the touchdown pass to Bocacher. All Marcel does is duck his shoulder to look like he's going, and a linebacker came up, and they ran Bocacher right behind him. You should find ways to do that in every game in various ways. I think a great offensive coordinator does that, and it'll be interesting to see what Holman Wiggins comes up with.
Do me a favor, Kayla, and just check a couple of these names if they're on the top 100. One of those being Carson Beck. Okay, and by the way, Carson Beck, he got the win over Marcel. I'm not saying that, but if Carson Beck's is he one of the 100?
Yeah, he's number 49.
Yeah, he's in the. That might be too high, but he's quarterbacking in the national championship.
He had 12 interceptions, but I'm just bringing up a couple points. Jaden Mavia, he from USC. Mavia spelled Maiava. Is he on there?
M-A-I.
He had 10 interceptions.
I wouldn't think he would be in there.
Okay.
See him. Oh, he's number 56.
Okay, then
see what I'm saying?
yeah. Then your
Sawyer Robinson.
Your point is well taken.
Robertson, excuse me.
The Baylor quarterback?
Yeah. Did he make? I don't think he made it.
He's not on the list.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm gonna just throw. Okay. Julian Sayin deserves to be on there. I know he's on there.
He's on the list as well.
Dante Moore deserves to be on there. He had 10 interceptions. So, and he's on there. I know that. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of, to me, if you are a Heisman contender most of the season and you have a couple bad games to end the year, it takes you out of contention, no doubt. But if we're talking about the 10, and again, however you...
If Mavia is what, 59 did you say?
He's 56.
56? If he's in the top 60...
Then Marcel's in the top 60.
I'm taking Look, I've seen them play against each other. I'm taking Marcel over Mavia 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, and yes, I know that Marcel lost to Mavia in the Las Vegas Bowl. Marcel was not the reason they lost that game.
Right. In fact, I bet you Marcel wished he could have played against that A&M secondary.
Yeah, so, again, people make lists. It doesn't really matter. I'm just saying, like, if I'm making a list and a guy, like Arch is on the list. I think Arch was in, what number is Arch? And I think he should be. I think he's probably one of the 100 best players. I'm not taking anything away from him. And he only threw maybe 7 or 8 interceptions, right? His interceptions were down compared to Marcel's. Marcel had 12, right?
The thing about Marcel's interceptions is so many of them were so loud.
Yeah.
Because they were in big games and they were in the red zone or the end zone.
Arch is ranked at number 58.
See, I'm putting Arch ahead of Mavia. What did I miss?
I agree.
It's not like did LSU? I mean, did USC have this tremendous year?
They went 9-3, right?
Yeah, 9-3.
They went 9-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dante Moore was at 24. Julian Sane was at 23.
I have no problem with those.
Saying I have no problem with him being in the top 100. I think
they got to the Final Four. Oregon did, right? So like an easier path.
He's Ohio State.
Who did we say? No, I'm saying Dante Moore.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Sane.
Well, both of them. Like Dante Moore getting to the Final Four. I think I have no problem, and he could have been the number 1 pick this year.
Devin Dampier's also on this list at number 99, the quarterback from Utah.
What are his numbers?
Yeah.
He had 2,400 yards, 24 touchdowns, and a QBR of 84.4.
Does it have his interceptions by any chance?
It does not. I can look him up, though.
Yeah, look up his interceptions.
I remember they talked about Dampier and how good he was and everything, and then they'd play a big game, and I think it was BYU. He played poorly. Look, here's the thing. I said it on Marcel. When Marcel failed, he failed spectacularly, and he did it in the big games where everybody saw, and that's what they're. He threw an interception at the goal line against Texas, right?
Dampier had 5 interceptions this season.
That's a good number.
Good.
Look, we have a couple of chats on the YouTube that we'll get to maybe on the other side of the break because we got to hit one here. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland or you already live in Aggieland and you're looking for a great opportunity to help out Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students that's looking to hire professionals to join their team. They typically have openings in several different departments. You get talking about fundraising, former student programs, communications, and sales. They're the nation's premier alumni association, and they're the oldest organization supporting the Aggie network. They have played a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with their awesome events like Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It's the Association of Former Students. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports. And they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians Only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. Final segment of the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla, got a couple of chats on the YouTube page.
Yes, so we have a chat from Sam Sloan. He said, where'd it go? Sorry. That we weren't winning because of Marcel. What's y'all's take on that?
360 passing yards against Notre Dame, including a game-winning touchdown pass. I think Marcel's pretty big in that one. Mm-hmm. I'm having to go back and run a Rolodex.
He was pretty darn good in the LSU game.
He was
he had a couple of
he had
early
two
interceptions
early, and more than redeemed himself. Seems like he had a big game against Arkansas. In fact, could have slammed the door on it with a long touchdown run, but somebody was holding. Plus, I don't think you can say, rarely can you say a team won because of a quarterback. He can lead it.
So did Indiana win because of Fernando Mendoza?
He led it without a doubt. But
he did throw the ball to people and hand it off to people, right? It wasn't just him doing it.
And people always talk about Tim Tebow, greatest quarterback ever, which I don't agree with, but he was really great. But I always look at their game when they won the national championship against Oklahoma with him as the starting quarterback. Oklahoma averaged 50 points a game that year. They scored 14.
Yeah.
And I never saw Tim Tebow out there playing linebacker. So, if you want, that's just a lazy argument. Sorry, I love you all for watching and contributing to the show, but that's just a lazy argument. Did they win because of Marcel? Well, sometimes, he was the starring role in it. Usually it was. But no, other guys had to play well.
How good
if you
was
go out and score, I've seen quarterbacks, Texas Tech quarterbacks back in the day under Mike Leach. They might put up great numbers, but they lost the game because they couldn't play defense.
Interesting thing about Marcel that I've thought about is that the way his 25 season ended is different than the way his 24 season ended. And what I mean by that was, outside of the Texas game, Marcel put his team in positions to win games at the end of games. Mm-hmm. The Auburn game, the USC game. I know there's others where he led them back, gave them an opportunity to win the game with the score at the end. Mm-hmm. Defense let them down that year, 24. 25, he had opportunities to do the same thing in the last two games, and he threw interceptions.
If I was, who whoever's going to be the quarterback coach, I would start with Marcel. I'd say right here, the first thing I want you to do is run more. Maybe you go 1-2 run, 1-2-3 run, first. And then the next thing I'd say is look, don't look for the big play all the time when you're passing. Sometimes look for that check down and just get the first down.
OB, thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, John Harris, Pat Henry, and Ralph Russo, all that in the 9 o'clock hour. It's TexAgs Live. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. Time for our weekly conversation with my dear friend, the Professor John Harris from FootballTakeover.com and Houston Texans sideline reporter. He's on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Johnny, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, David. How are you doing?
I'm good. So I wasn't going to start with this, but I'm going to start with it because our YouTube page has gone cray-cray, okay? To sound like 2010.
Okay.
So we're going to take it in parts. Part 1. Do you think Marcel Reed And you can say no. Don't feel like because you're on TexAgs. I'm just curious because I know you know football. Do you think Marcel Reed was a top 100 player in college football?
Through the first 10 weeks of the season, yes.
So let's take it the entire season. Would you say he's one of the top 100? If you had to evaluate a 13-game, 11-2 season, was he one of the top 100 players?
I think he would probably be somewhere between 90 and 120. Okay. I think that, it's interesting because, the way that we start things and the way that we finish things carries so much weight with people. If you start off, say Arch Manning would have started off the year at Ohio State with 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, Texas wins. I mean, Arch Manning could have gone to the 50-yard line and, sat there and done yoga for the next 8 weeks, and people would have been like, well, yeah, you remember that Ohio State game, though. I think when you finish well, I think people remember that as well. I think, Indiana is a great example of that. People wanted to say Indiana is the greatest team maybe in college football history. And don't get me wrong, I think Indiana was really, really good. But, Indiana went to Penn State and was on the ropes. Like, on the ropes. They were dead and done. And for Fernando Mendoza got sacked on first down on a final drive. It was like, what happens if he doesn't complete a few passes and they lose that game? What are we saying about Fernando Mendoza? What are we saying about Indiana? But because Indiana closed with hammering Alabama, hammering Oregon, and I would say really controlling Miami, but beating Miami in their own building for a national championship, we're going to remember Indiana as one of the greatest teams of all time. I say that because Marcel, I don't know if he started gangbusters, but he played pretty well. But at the end of the season, he ended up not playing extremely well, and he ended up not playing extremely well against the best competition that A&M played in the 2025 season. That is going to sit with people. That's going to stay with people when they do evaluations like this or not. And I think that probably hangs out. To me, I probably would have put him in the top 100 because I watched every game Marcel played. There were games Marcel bailed A&M out of the fire. I mean, the South Carolina game, now he was, he contributed to it in the first half, but he definitely pulled him out of the fire in the second half, playing some of the best ball he played all year. So I would probably put him in the top 100, but it probably would be somewhere between 90 to 100, not really kind of thinking about everybody else I'm leaving in or putting out at some point. So that's a great question. Probably 90 to 100, but probably no higher than that.
So first off, I totally understand your thinking, and like with that kind of rationale, I would totally get it, like why he wouldn't be. The reason I thought, and I didn't go through every team, ESPN had their list. Marcel didn't make it. All right, cool. I think if a quarterback for 11 out of the 12 weeks of the regular season was considered, or maybe not 11, but the second half of the season was considered a Heisman contender until the Texas game, right? Yep. To me, like, okay, the last 2 games obviously takes him out of the running for a Heisman, but I don't think it drops you out of the top 100 players. But I understand that rationale. And we have a guy on the YouTube page who doesn't think that Marcel should be there because all his yards are basically little dinks and dunks. And my counter to that was, yeah, you know what, you're right. It was a lot of dinks and dunks, which opened up a lot of the over the top. I mean, I can remember the touchdown pass to ABR, Ashton Belther-Roman in the South Carolina game. There were other long passes. Yeah. He missed on a lot early on, no doubt. Yeah. And also, I think his legs were the point that Sam brought up on the YouTube page was that that this was a running team, not a passing team. Well, I mean, I believe that Marcel was part of the reason they were a good running team. He's a great runner when he ran the ball. So, look, it's not even an argument. It's just more of a point of view is, I guess, the way I look at it, Johnny.
Yeah, that's a tremendous way of putting it. And, look, I'll say this. From my team and my perspective, C.J. Stroud didn't play very well in the 2 playoff games. And people want to, sell him to the Washington Commanders. And it's like, whoa, hold on. Let's not let the most recent be, what takes us down into this hole of negativity. Look, CJ will tell you, and everybody will tell you, I'll tell you, CJ wasn't tremendous in 2025, but we won a lot of games in 2025 because CJ Stroud was our quarterback. In the playoffs at Pittsburgh, he made some throws to CK that were just incredible. The interception down on the goal line was inexcusable. Now, the performance in New England had a lot of factors to it. And I thought about this as I was driving to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. I was like, man, he had no Trent Brown. He had no Nico. He had no Dalton Schultz, basically, for the game. He had no Mixon, no Tank Dell. Those are all players or types of players that other teams had in the playoffs. And he didn't have them for the third straight year. He was without a lot of his key offensive weapons. And CJ didn't play well. So to me, there are a lot of reasons why things happened for CJ. But the point is, it's all fallen on deaf ears. Now he's become kind of this national running joke. CJ Stroud's going to throw this away. And, they relate it to the storm that came through. It's like, Barstool put CJ Stroud. I'm like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. I think people are going to remember the last couple of games of Marcel's season like they are doing for CJ and say, oh, well, Marcel didn't have that great a year. I don't think I agree with that. Look, he went to Notre Dame and had a hell of a football game, found Borkature on the touchdown pass, which is a great pass on fourth down. I mean, how clutch is that to beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame, a good Notre Dame team, a Notre Dame team that should have made the playoff instead of Alabama, instead of Oklahoma. Notre Dame should have been in the playoff. And he beat them on the road, scored 41 points in the process because the defense couldn't stop running water that night. So he made, to me, a lot of strides. He made a lot of progress. He did a lot of really good things. And he probably should have been a top 100 player. The argument of, he's a Heisman candidate, this, that, there are a lot of guys that end up being Heisman candidates at some point, whether they're legit, Heisman candidates or not. I mean, who knows? Sometimes it's just, somebody saw Marcel play the last, game against South Carolina, brought him back, like, oh, give him the Heisman. And this was one of those years where nobody really kind of stood out for the Heisman at all. And there were a lot of guys that early on were probably Heisman candidates, and then they kind of faded. And I think Marcel probably held on longer than most, but because he had those games at the end of the year, I think that's what people are going to remember, and not him being a Heisman candidate, David.
Johnny, look, again, I'm not asking you to get a perfect science, but how many Aggies do you think should be on a top 100 list, considering they went 11-2? Because
that's a good question.
ESPN had 3, and I thought it would be closer to 4 or 5, and OB agreed with me. Is that where you would land?
I would say KC, Craver. I would definitely say Torian, Cassius. How many is that? That's 4. Let me think. Who else? I think probably Will Lee probably deserves to be on there as well. Although, Will can be frustrating as I watch him. But I think he deserved to be on there as well. I think you could make a case, and this is not going to happen for media doing a top 100, but I think you can make a case for Chase, and you probably can make a case for Trey. Mm-hmm. But people don't really know top 100 all that well. So, but that's how many? 6? That's probably where I would have gone. Maybe I would have debated between Trey and Chase and picked one and gone with that. But I would say at least 5.
Yeah, I do think the end of the season, and it should matter. The games become magnified. They mean more at the end of the year. But if you split those last 2, let's say you beat Miami and lose to Texas or vice versa, I think there's probably 1 or 2 more guys on that list.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, of course. You know how this thing goes. I mean, and people, and you guys heard it. Aggies didn't play anybody. They didn't play anybody. The team they played on the road, and they got beat. A good Texas team beat them. And then a Miami team that went to the national championship game beat them. There's only 2 teams that beat A&M, but because they lost those 2 games, I think people are, and throwing the fact that they don't think that A&M beat anybody worth substance. I'm like, I don't know. I thought Notre Dame was pretty damn good as far as that goes. So, look, you beat the teams that are in front of you. There's nothing that you can really do outside of that, especially in the SEC. They hand you the schedule. You play these games, go win them, okay? And they did. And so I really have a hard time with that argument of, well, the schedule's this and the schedule's that, even for non-Power 4 schools, because none of the Power 4 schools want to go play Boise. none of the Power 4 schools want to go play, back in the day, it used to be Appalachian State. So how are those schools going to build their resume? That's a soapbox for a different day. But who are the three that they put on, David?
They put on KC. Cassius was number 10. Casey was 21. And Mario was 87, I believe.
Oh, I forgot Mario. Yeah. Oh, no, I said Mario. Yeah. That's. I can see those three. I would have put a couple more, though.
Yeah. Talking to John Harris on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Johnny, I am not a big fan of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know if there's a coach that ever deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't like his style. I don't like his demeanor. I think it's a joke what he's doing in North Carolina. We'll see if he turns it around in year 2. But that should not matter.
No, absolutely. The guy should have made the Hall of Fame in the first ballot. I mean, if he doesn't, then who does? I don't like what the Hall of Fame changed their process a couple of years ago after Andre Johnson got in. It wasn't because of Andre. It was just they changed their process. And I just think they've kind of screwed the whole thing up from that. I think they'll go back, they'll look at the process, they'll reevaluate, and then, move from there. But, I've seen, John McClain's a Hall of Fame voter, and Mike Sando, I think, is a Hall of Fame voter. He was trying to explain it. Here's what could happen. I'm like, okay, yes, but every one of those ballots should have included the name Bill Belichick. So from that standpoint, why did somebody not include Bill Belichick? Now, there's a lot of smoke around Bill Polian. Then he can't remember whether he voted for Belichick or not. It's like, all right, come on, man. And look, whether it's football, whether it's business, whether it's some job somewhere, whether it's a school, man, ego can get in the way of everything.
Yes, it can.
And that is what this is. People are mad because Belichick treated them like he didn't really care about them. But if there's anybody that has a love for the history of the game and a love for the Hall of Fame and what it represents, it's Bill Belichick. And for that reason alone, I would have voted for him. Look, I've known coaches over the years that have, been difficult with me for different reasons. Players that have been difficult with me. And I've always stopped and said, don't let that get in the way if I'm voting on something or describing something. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, okay, well, this player is not a good player because, well, he, gave me the brush off at, this awards event or whatever the case might be. Like, you got to let that stuff go. If you're going to be a Hall of Fame voter, then act like a Hall of Fame voter. Don't act like a 6-year-old that had his candy stolen by the bully in the room and, is crying to get it back. Like, just stop with that. It's kind of the same thing with the Baseball Hall of Fame. Is Barry Bonds, and I know it's a long, lengthy story and whatever you feel about PEDs and all that kind of stuff. Roger Clemens, are those guys being left out of the Hall of Fame because they were surly with the media, because they were surly with you, and now this is your opportunity to get back at them? I hope that's not the case, but I don't know how it couldn't be. How is some voter going to stand up there and, hey, defend not putting Bill Belichick as one of the 3 people to get in the Hall of Fame on your vote? Defend it. I'd like to hear it. I really would. But, that's not going to happen because people are getting clowned now. And they're not going to step out there and say, yeah, I didn't vote for Belichick because of this. First of all, they got to come up with their reasons why, other than, well, he was a jerk to me and I don't think he deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. But I want to hear somebody say that. Say it. Because basically you're going to out yourself for being an egotistical wuss.
I didn't think I was going to go Hall of Fame on you, but I'm going to continue down this path. Is the fact that Carlos Beltran getting into the Hall mean Jose Altuve has nothing to worry about?
Oh, I don't know. I think they're kind of separate cases, but that's just me. I don't know. I think Jose will eventually get in. But here's the problem, though. Kind of going back to our situation here about media members vote for this. And because media members vote for this, they have very long memories. Here's the problem. People outside the city of Houston, they don't realize, a lot of them don't know that Jose had nothing to do with whatever that scandal was. No, Carlos Beltran had more to do with it than Jose Altuve did. Altuve didn't want anything to do with it, but yet he was the one painted with the brush of, hey, the scandal happened. Jose, you're the guy. Like, I have a buddy of mine. He's the sideline reporter for the Buffalo Bills. and they're big Yankees fans. And his son, Max, would watch John Boy videos day in and day out and hated Jose Altuve.
Mm-hmm.
Hated him. Because he watched these damn videos where John Boy was spewing this nonsense. And it's like, that's the nonsense that the media members picked up on. And there are going to be many that remember that. And they don't remember or won't have heard that Jose Altuve had nothing to do with it. And it can be screamed from the rafters. And I don't know who from Houston votes for the Baseball Hall of Fame, but people are going to be like, well, he was part of that scandal. No, he wasn't. But that's the problem, is you're going to have that national perception when it comes to voting on something like that. And it happens for awards and it happens for all kinds of things. It's just, I mean, think about it. When Jose Altuve goes into a building, he gets booed louder than anybody from the Astros. And it's like, if anybody knew the story and knew about Jose Altuve, they'd be cheering him. And I told my friend Sal, I said, your son Max should be looking to Jose Altuve as a hero. Like, Max is a little bit smaller. He's kind of, one of the smallest kids in his class. He's tough. He's feisty. I'm like, Jose Altuve is the kind of guy you should point to and go be like him. But because of what happened and how the media took that scandal and blew it up, Jose might end up taking a couple of years. Hopefully the noise on the other side will be, hey, look, jackasses, he was not part of this scandal. He was not part of it. And if it's got to be Bregman and others that step up and say, yeah, man, stop this. Jose was not part of this. I think Jose's, body of work will speak for itself. And if Carlos Beltran got in, then I think that Jose is eventually going to get in. Will it be first ballot? Probably not. And I hope there's a part of me that always hopes he doesn't, so that we can just spew this vitriol of how dumb the baseball writers of America are if they don't let him in because of the stupid scandal that he wasn't even a part of.
Johnny, one more Hall of Famer for you. I don't know why. Gary Kubiak won a Super Bowl as a head coach. Was a really nice head coach for the Texans. Obviously, his time with the Broncos, the previous life, his time developing quarterbacks. Could Gary Kubiak end up in the Hall of Fame at some point?
I think he could, but there are a lot of coaches in time that have won Super Bowl championship. Now, if Gary had been more a starting quarterback, obviously you get stuck behind Elway, you're not going to be able to get on the field all that much. But Gary Kubiak, I think, is one of two people that I know of that won a championship as a player, as a coach, assistant coach, and then as a head coach, if I remember correctly. So Gary Kubiak's got rings in a lot of different ways. And, he got the Texans to the playoffs for the first time in that team's history. Gary's got a really good resume, but Gary is not a self-promoter. He's not a guy that's going to, do a lot of media events. He's not going to do a lot of TV. He wants to be on the ranch. He wants to fish. He wants to be with the grandkids. He wants to talk ball with his sons. He's not out there all the time reminding everybody how great he was or how great he actually is. It's just not him. So I think that's the part of this that I would say, he's going to fail at, but in a sense, he's going to fail at because they when it comes to Belichick did not put this out there, but this is going to be enough to make sure that he gets in the next ballot. Now, Belichick was going to get in, but I do think for the Hall of Fame, there is a definite level of self-promotion that's got to happen. And there are going to be some people that are just allergic to that. And Gary Kubiak is one of them. And I think that's why I love him. I think that's why a lot of people love him. I think that's why Aggies love him.
Johnny, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man, I'm going to go watch your Aggies at the Senior Bowl. Did a good job yesterday. Demetrius had a good day.
Yeah.
Borkature had a good day. I thought those two looked really, really good. So I'm gonna go over there. It's in the afternoon, so my Harris hit should be up at HoustonTexans.com, I hope. I sent him in late because it's later practices. But, yeah, I thought Aggies looked really good yesterday, so hope for another good day today.
Awesome, man. I should have probably spent some time here, but, sometimes conversation takes you multiple ways.
Yeah. I know how it goes.
Thanks, brother.
All right, love you, man. See you, bud.
Love you too, man. That's my guy, my brother. Johnny Harris. We'll hit a break. We'll come back, and we'll talk to the great Pat Henry here on the program. When it comes to preserving your farm or your ranch's legacy, it's not about just capturing pictures and putting them on Facebook, on Twitter, or X, whatever, or Instagram. It's about capturing the essence of your land and making sure that the generations that are going to inherit it really know everything about it, right? And that comes with everything in your family. Whatever is very important to your family, it should be shared for the next generation and the generation after that. And that's why Heritage Films is such an important part of what our family's done. We did my dad's 2-hour documentary a few years back. He is 95. He's still kicking. It's pretty amazing. But you're not promised tomorrow, right? And if you want to have your dad's stories preserved for the next generation, you want to have your mom's story, you want to have your family business story, your family ranch story for the next generation, you need to have a Heritage film done, a 2-hour documentary that Chance McClain and his team put together. Chance worked with me and John Harris, who you just heard a moment ago, for many, many years at 1560, and I've known him for over 20 years. The phone number for Chance and his team at Heritage Films, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The A&M track and field team delivered a dominant performance on the final day of the Ted Nelson Invitational. They won 14 events and have some more school records. We'll discuss it with Pat Henry here with our weekly conversation brought to you by Brazos Running Company and MasonHay.com. From your running shoes to your Aggie pajamas, this Aggie family's got you covered. Visit Brazos Running Company in Century Square or shop MasonHay.com. Coach Henry, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Good weekend, huh?
Yeah. For the situation, it was so cold, as you know, and part of our warm up has to occur outside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to put up a pretty good sized tent to try to do some things outside to allow for a warm up about 80 meters long. And then we have some areas inside that we do. But it was tough. But, you know, when you have a track meet, you got to have about 90 people as officials.
Yeah.
You got about 90 people. Well, on that kind of day, when it's that cold, a lot of people aren't out. We're not supposed to be out traveling, you know. So our officials showed up. And so I was extremely pleased with the way things went. It was a well-run meet.
Jaqueline, what was it, a 7.59 in the 60-meter hurdles?
Good opener for JQ. He had never run that fast to open the season, and you know he's one of the best hurdlers in the country. So that's a good sign for him.
Yeah, very good sign. Sophia, the freshman, having a nice start to her career.
Yeah, her whole thing is she is a competitor. I mean, she is when she doesn't meet her expectations for that day. It's controlling her emotions is a big part of it, and lots of athletes are that way. But because she's a multi-eventer, she's doing 2 and 3 events every meet. So she runs on our 4x4 right now. So she's really running well.
That's a gift and a curse, right? When you get so hard on yourself, it can spiral downward, but it can also propel you.
Yeah, you better have a coach that's on you.
Yeah.
Mario's doing a good job with her. Mario Zatanian's doing a good job with her. And it's about controlling emotions a lot of times for a lot of athletes because emotions play a huge aspect in performance.
How do you all coach that? Like, I mean, because everybody's individual. You can say the things to them, but for them to apply it, it's really an internal thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's a shot in the dark. Sometimes you're taking a chance on what you do say, but you got to get in a pattern of talking to athletes, individual athletes, different. You have to communicate with this athlete different than this athlete, and this athlete has different cues than this athlete has. So it's finding those cues, finding what makes them feel right about themselves, as well as their competitiveness. You know, it's all trying to figure all of that out about each individual, and that's the fun of it.
What about Peter Narumbe, if I'm saying that correctly?
Brent, that's exactly right. You did a good job.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
He's brand new, freshman, and that's the best mark in the country. That's the best mark in the country, and for a freshman to run 800 meters this early in the season, to run 147. Is a really good one for him, and he hadn't run on an indoor track very often, as most of our freshmen don't run. They if they do run 1 or 2 meets as a high school athlete on an indoor track, those aren't few and far between.
What I'm loving is that in the first 6 minutes of this interview, we've talked about a couple of freshmen, just the health of this program. You've got young athletes really contributing.
Well, in my opinion, I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to recruit freshmen. I'm not going to rely on the portal to do. Right now, we just don't need to. We have a class of older athletes that are fixing to graduate, but I feel like I got to replace these people with these young people because I got another class behind this class that's coming up to replace this class. Good job.
I want to ask you about the psyche of you are a championship coach, and you've done it for a long time. And the way this college athletics has changed, there's not really a formula that I think people are trying to figure out their formula.
Mm-hmm.
Are you tinkering with your formula? Because it sounds like, look, I'm going to still develop and recruit young athletes. I will use the portal as a way to help, but that's not what I'm going to rely on. I don't know if that works for everybody, but it seems to work for you.
Yeah, I think coaching is changing. It's a big part of coaching is being able to change. I didn't start this business 53 years ago the way I am right now. I've had to make changes as I go. Not in skill development, not in how we teach, how we get people there. Our athletes are less prepared coming in as freshmen than they were 10 years ago. They may be better athletes, but they're less prepared in the weight room. They're less prepared in a lot of areas. I'll probably talk to you off the air why it's that way.
Could have something to do with this.
A little bit, yeah. But there's other things. There are other things in athletics that are causing problems for other sports too. You know, so it's a little different time right now, and I hope it'll level out. I don't know if it will or not.
Talk to me a little bit about Henry Zimmerman. Keeps improving.
Yeah, and he's a guy that came out of the portal for us. He's a graduate student, and he's a hammer thrower, but he's a weight thrower indoors. Big kid. He's what he throw 52.11 or 52.10 this weekend, a new school record for us. He's a good contributor, and there's one that I did get out of the portal that I felt like could help our program. I've got a new throws coach, and so he's done a good job of identifying some talent, and we brought in 2 or 3 people right now, so this is one of them.
In other sports, sometimes they say, you've got to make sure you got to be careful who you bring in from the portal because it can taint a locker room.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work with a track and field program that is a lot of individualized athletes with one goal of being a team?
Well, I think my locker room can change the one that's coming in, and that's the goal. I want to recruit an athlete. When I talk to an athlete, it's are you willing to change? Are you willing to accept things different? Are you willing to change a lot of things in your career that I've watched? Are you able to change those things? Because the athlete has to change as well as we have to change. So adapting to a new system, being able to get along with the people within the team is a huge aspect of that.
Set up the week for me. Boston and maybe some other outlets as well.
Yeah, this is a weekend that I really don't like, but it's a necessity because of it's just the way distance has changed. It's almost that the distance people go to one area. The really good ones go to one track meet or 2 track meets on this weekend, and they compete. And it's ridiculous, but that's the way it is. If you don't go in there, you're not going to be around the best people because they don't run that often. You can't line up a 5,000 very often, not a great one. So if you aren't together with each other at the same site, sometimes the time and the performance that you get at that meet will allow you possibly to be in the top 16 performances in the country, which that advances you to the national championship. You don't even get in the top 16, you don't go. Well, I think 14 of the top 16 people that advanced in the 5K last year came out of the meet run at Boston. Well, you'd have to be ignorant to not see that and not understand. If I've got a pretty good one, I better be there. That's what we do.
Coach Henry?
Not good. It's contrary to what I think we should be doing. But I have to do it.
Right.
It's just like all of the coaches right now. Yep. There's a lot of stuff going on we don't want to do. But if you don't play the game, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Coach Henry, we appreciate you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Ralph Russo of The Athletic, talk some college football next on TexAgs Live. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. A couple minutes late, I apologize. Let's get to the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Ralph Russo of The Athletic joining us to chit-chat. He's a senior college football writer and a good friend of the program. What's up, Ralph? How you been, buddy?
I'm okay, guys. How are you, David?
Wonderful, man. It's good to chat with you. Let's start things off with this historic run that Indiana went on. That, it's an A&M show, so I look at parallels for A&M sometimes. What Cignetti did in 2 years, right? And the reason I'm bringing them up here is last year when they went through their run, I doubted them, like, who they played, right? Like, and I feel like that's what A&M has gotten a lot this year. Who has A&M played? Who have they really beat? Well, in year 2, I didn't want to believe in them early, but, probably from that Penn State game on, I was like, okay, this team really could win a national championship. Then they beat Ohio State, and the rest is history. Just talk about that historic season.
Yeah, truly something that we've never seen before. College football is such a sport where you tend to be what you have always been, right? Think about from like the Texas A&M lens. Texas A&M has always sort of had this history of being a very good program, a very high level program, but for a long time of like, hey, we can't kind of get over the top, right? We can't take that last step. But it's also a program that has been very well established as a high-level program that can win big games, win at a high level, right? And that's college football in general to a certain degree. You kind of find your level, you find your status, and you tend to stay at your status for a long period of time. So for Indiana to wake up one day and all of a sudden become Ohio State is bananas. Like, especially again, if I'm looking at it through a Texas A&M lens and you think, man, we have been close, but struggling to get over the top and to sort of make that last step for 10, 15, 20, whatever the amount of years. And all of a sudden, this guy takes them from the very bottom of the Big Ten to the national championship. Does that recalibrate standards and expectations for everybody? I think to a certain degree, yes. I think to a certain degree, I think it should give some hope to all of college football, every program, that we can change our status, right? The new rules, we can grab players from a lot of different places. Paying players thins the talent out. And if we want to invest at a certain level, that can help us raise our level. But it probably does so in a somewhat unrealistic way, because their change in status was so dramatic and so unprecedented that to a certain degree, it probably also sets a standard that can't be reached by most schools.
Ralph, isn't it interesting? A couple years back, I would have told you the SEC was the best conference in all of sports, but they were top-heavy for a long time, right? It was either Alabama or Georgia, LSU, like they were a top-heavy Florida. And now it's kind of reversed to where I think the SEC is the deepest conference, but they're not the best conference. It's the top-heavy Big Ten that's won the last 3 national championships. And back then, I would have said the Big Ten was probably just a little bit closer. They were more like an English Premier League team, right? They were just, all the teams were very similar to each other.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that the change, when we talk about the flattening of the talent curve in college football, I think that is no more stark than in the SEC. And when we talk about what you just said, the best SEC teams were always head and shoulders above all the rest of college football. For the most part, Georgia was building, I call it the super team era, right? Alabama, Georgia, Clemson built a couple of super teams. I think Ohio State was fair to call them a super team in a couple of years. But the Georgia, Alabama, LSU, the 1 year it rose up and the couple of years that it has risen up, so talented, so stocked their rosters were, that they could just overwhelm everybody else. And I think when we talk about spreading that talent thinner, a lot of it is SEC on SEC crime these days. A lot of the spreading of the talent is guys who are going to Georgia now showing up at Missouri or Oklahoma or Vanderbilt, right? And now all of a sudden, as you said, I think the SEC is still the deepest conference. And depending on the way you want to rate the power of a conference, I think the SEC still might be the best conference. But those super teams don't exist anymore. And when it comes to the head-to-head stuff, listen, like if you're the SEC, you can't tout your bowl results for years and all these things. And then when they start shifting away from you, go, oh no, they don't matter now.
Do you think the SEC is going to – I don't think so, because Greg Sankey's never been impulsive. It doesn't seem like he has been, at least. Do you think, though, with the fact that the Big Ten has gotten this bigger footprint all across the country, that they've got the big TV deal, do you see the SEC now kind of recalibrating and thinking to themselves, you know, maybe we should reconsider some of these programs that we did not think about adding a couple years back?
Maybe. I don't think so. I think that would be a little bit of an overreaction. Again, there is a little, I don't know what you do exactly about, as I sort of described it before, that SEC on SEC crime, right? If you bring in more good programs, doesn't that further thin out the talent within the SEC, right? If all of a sudden you have, I'm just going to pull two names out, Florida State and Clemson. Well, Florida State and Clemson, much like Texas and Oklahoma, they're not here just to collect a check and losses. Like, they're here to play the game, right? We're here to play this game. So does that further thin out the SEC? Listen, we might 2 or 3 years or 4 years from now be talking about more expansion and what the next evolution of college sports is, super leagues and all that stuff. That might be inevitable, but I don't necessarily know if it's because the SEC finds itself thinking we need to bring in stronger programs. To a certain degree, the fact that they have all these programs that are aspirational towards national championships, programs like Auburn. Now Ole Miss is in the game, right? And you have a programs toward the bottom, like an Arkansas, like they don't just accept, hey, like this is just our plight in life is to sort of be stuck at the bottom here. I think in the Big Ten, there are some programs that are like, listen, you know, we want to be better than 3 or 4 wins, but if we get the bowl eligibility and we can win 6 or 7 games, you know, we'll be fine. Everybody in the SEC is completely bought in, so that doesn't necessarily lift the top of the conference if you bring 2 more schools like that in.
Last thing for you. Do you feel like we're any closer than we were in 21, 22, 23 to the super conference or some actual real guardrails, not this mythical guardrails that we live in?
So I am going to say yes, because I think we're taking slow and sloppy and awkward steps there every day, like a baby giraffe, right? Like learning to walk. Like it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great. There's a lot of problems. It's stumbling all over itself. But I'll give you a good example. This drama that just played out with Darian Mensah, the Duke quarterback, now landing at Miami. And you could say, boy, what a mess. Like, the guy just broke his contract and at the last second jumped into the portal, really like did Duke kind of dirty. But on the back end of that, what we may have established is, okay, here's the way this is going to work. These contracts, they're not built to necessarily keep you at your school, but if you want to break them, Duke's going to get a little money out of this. And that's helpful right now, right? Like if Duke, I don't know how much Duke, and we're going to have a hard time figuring out how much they made on this because they're 2 private schools. But if Duke got $2 million that it can throw towards players next year, obviously this year it's probably too late, but next year, well, that's something. That's a real viable piece of, you know, a tangible piece, a tangible gain for Duke to use. So maybe we're heading towards transfer fees like they have in European soccer and things along those lines. So that's all to say, like, it's an evolution. It's a messy evolution, but I do think we're taking baby steps, maybe a lot of 1 step forward and 2 steps back towards eventually getting to a better place with structure and rules and whatever you want to call them, guardrails.
Ralph, great stuff as always, man. Let's talk here soon, okay?
Always appreciate you, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph Russo from The Athletic. Good friend of the program, and he's one of the best at what he does. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. And right now, when it comes to your money and your peace of mind, it starts with the right team. That right team is Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. No commissions, no sales pitches, just trusted advice tailored to you. They have a team of 18 professionals, including over 9 CFPs, a CFA, and a CPA. And their expertise does run deep at Paragon, because credentials matter, and so does your future. Call them up, 979-693-3907, or visit paragon-adv.com. It's Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go around Aggieland. Sydney Cleavinger, Editor of the Year and also Aggielander of the Year. What's up?
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. What's cracking in your world?
Well, as we know, it's been freezing in Aggieland, but that doesn't matter for Aggie men's basketball. They are on fire. They dominated the Bulldogs last Wednesday, 88-68, after shooting a season-high 95.8 from the line, and then 18 assists and 13 forced turnovers. And then they did it all again on Saturday against South Carolina. The game getting moved up 2.5 hours had nothing on them. Zach Clemens' 21 points, Rylan Griffin 16, and Rashawn Agee and Pop Isaacs both with 11 helped the Aggies secure their 92-69 victory. The win improved the Aggies to 6-1 in conference play, top mark in the SEC, but they still remain unranked. They will return to the court on Saturday at 12 p.m. when they take on the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens. And then staying with hoops, last Thursday, Aggie women's basketball dropped the ball to number 6 LSU, 98-54, and then was defeated again at Mizzou on Sunday, finishing 81-70. Standout Nicira Pryor totaled 35 points and 10 rebounds between the two games, but that wasn't enough to keep the Aggies from falling 1-6 in SEC play. The ladies will have another chance to redeem themselves tomorrow at number 10 Oklahoma at 6 p.m. And then just a little bit of football. The Hendricks Award Foundation announced Cassius Howell, Sackmaster, as one of the 5 finalists for the 2025 Ted Hendricks Defensive End of the Year Award after finishing the season with an impressive 11.5 sacks and 41 QB pressures. I think I'm going to miss him.
We're going to miss your hit. That was very good. Thank you so much. We got to hit a break. We'll be back. Text out. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza. And, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. It is time now for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. And with that, we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Recruiting analyst, good friend, married man, honeymooner, traveler, you name it. Jason Howell joining the program. What's up, Mr. Howell?
Oh man, just glad to be back home and in the office and getting to work, man. It is it's been a wild week, and there's been a lot of things happening on the recruiting front for sure. Um, I I know I brought up something about our travel this weekend when we were talking pre-show, and I want to bring it up because of all the travel stuff with the junior day and the elite day, and I know it really just the travel. I know they were expecting several top out of state guys, and I know for us, we were we were in Cancun, so we were. If you're going to be stranded somewhere, I mean, that's where you want to be, right? You want to be in the nice, sunny beach area. But yeah, we knew kind of coming back. We started hearing some stories, about people trying to make travel arrangements as soon as we got there on Tuesday, and we, by Friday we started looking around, and our flight was supposed to come out on Sunday, and people were there were no options by Friday. And I'm sure these kids making these travel arrangements and these families trying to get into town, it was tough. We got lucky. We were able to get out with little to no issues. And I know we were the sixth flight out of Cancun on Saturday or on Sunday, and we were the third one to actually get off the ground. And we were slated to land 9:00. We ended up getting home at 12:45. So it was a long travel day, but we were wildly lucky when it came to our travel schedule.
Well, a couple of things that I want to bring up from that little trip. The difference between us, right?
Yeah.
When I'm on vacation, I want an extra day. I never can't wait to get back. And I have a very easy charm job, right? But I always need an extra day. I can't wait to work. So, okay, you get you give the teacher the apple.
Hey, I had my microphone. I was ready to go in case something happened and we needed to make some arrangements while we were there. But yeah, I mean, hey, when I say we're off from this to this, you got to be expected to get back to work, especially when you're like I am. I get to work remotely. So it's a blessing and a curse. When you're back, you're back.
The other thing I was thinking about was I remember a couple years ago in January, I went to Miami for my nephew's wedding, and it was like 85 degrees there. It was perfect, right? And when we left here, it was maybe in the 50s or 60s, but it wasn't like cold weather. And when we came back, it was in the 40s, if not the 30s, right? And I came back in like Miami clothes. I didn't have a thick jacket. I didn't have I'm just picturing you in this Hawaiian shirt and a big old hat and still got the white sunscreen on your face, walking to your car in this frigid temperature. Did you have big jackets? Were you prepared for their arrival?
Well, we brought jackets because we kind of made some plans. We looked at the weather. We knew things were kind of dicey with the winter storm coming through, but it was one of those deals where, it was a light jacket. And luckily for us, so the roads were terrible here once we got back to Dallas. So we had one of my neighbors has a car service, and it's not like Uber. Like this guy, he drove us. I use him because where we're at, we're just out of range for to schedule an Uber and it be reliable, and you get, especially if you're flying out early or coming back late or you have weather issues. And we scheduled him coming and going, and we landed at 9:00 or whatever it was, and he waited. The car service, our driver Darren, he waited from that time and tracked us all through and was in communication with us while we were trying to get everything sorted out, waiting on the plane to get off. And he waited till he met us in the lobby at at the airport right outside of customs, just ready to get us right to the car, so we didn't have to deal with the weather. We didn't have to deal with icy roads, and made it that much easier. Because let me tell you, the stress would have been just as high once we landed, trying to get from the airport to home as it would have been trying to get on the plane in Cancun.
All right, so no junior day. What are the after effects because of that? Are they going to get another one on the calendar? What's the plan right now?
Yeah, I think right now it's they're working with guys to get them back on campus this spring, and during spring practice, that the schedule kind of dictates the way things have to roll out. But what they did do is they got on the road. The weather didn't impact their travel plans. They were down in Florida. They were out in Georgia. They were visiting top prospects all over the country, making sure to get that FaceTime. They did have a couple guys in town. They had a Miles Smith commitment from Los Angeles that was able to make it in. His brother transferred from Houston Christian, so he's on campus. So they were in town, and so he was able to spend some time around the staff and all that. And then they had a edge out of Orlando, Florida, Frederick Ard, who A&M Coach Elko was by his high school on Monday. So they've been able to. They were able to get a couple guys in, and then they hit the road. And they spent a lot of their time just with families and things like that, doing the in-home visits, making it to high schools and doing what they could. And then, that's the good thing about what they did this fall. They laid a lot of foundation work where, you may see some guys make some decisions between now and then, but a lot of the guys that are super interested and that they've really had a chance to get on campus before are wanting to, continue those relationships and see how things all play out. But you'll see a lot of those guys in town for spring ball, we've already seen a few official visits get lined up. I think Jaden Upshaw, Anthony Sweeney, a couple national prospects that put some official visit times out there. So you're going to see them continue to grind away as they were, leading up to it in the last few weeks. So, no junior day, and you may see another event later in the spring, or a big visit weekend this spring. But as far as junior days, I think that's pretty much it for the books.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, so those who did make it to campus, all right,
yes.
because a couple, I'm assuming on the earlier part, right? Not the Sunday, like more of a Friday, Saturday, or maybe even just Friday. How did that work out?
Well, and I got to give credit to Ryan and Cade for being on top of this. They really, Ryan was tracking that junior day and the cancellation all the way up through through the weekend and everything. But they were able to make it in. Like I said, Miles Smith, his brother's on campus, and they did typical junior day stuff. I mean, it's showing them around campus, spending time with the coaches. They do a great job of laying things out. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to the interview we had with Caden Scott's family, but one of the things his mom talked about was, man, when you get to A&M, they have a plan, and some schools weren't necessarily as organized and everything, and they do a good job of answering questions and getting you around. And with these guys, they were able to get in, and it was pretty much business as usual for a weekend visit, and then they were able to get them back at home.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, so coaches are busy because you talked about this.
Yeah.
This is where it starts heating up again. So give me a little breakdown of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're in Georgia and Florida right now, and they've been all over the country. You saw, I think, KJ Green, a big edge defender out of Georgia, tweeted a picture with Mike Elko, Jordan Agbanoma. I always mess that up with the N and the M there. But,
say it again. Say it again.
Agbanoma.
Ag though. AG.
AG.
All right.
And yeah, he's got, I think his Twitter handle is something like Jordan Ag too. So, yeah, big offensive lineman out of Georgia. He was visited by Elko and the staff. You got Cushing making the rounds to top offensive lineman. He was out in Arizona visiting Jake Hildebrand out there at Basha High School out there. He was a Navy All-American this last couple weeks ago. And, yeah, they've been out just hitting top targets. You see Elijah Patman commitment. He's been getting some some interest from across the, all over the place. He locked in his commitment, said, hey, I'm locked in. I'm not going to visit anywhere else. You see them hitting a lot of underclassmen, extending a lot of offers in the Miami area with a lot of these coaches hitting the warmer spots. But, yeah, they're making the rounds. The weather is not impacting the travel schedule, and they're doing what they can to get out and spend some face time with these recruits and their families.
Jason, when you talk about Coach Elko and how detailed of a plan he has, and what is that? I don't even know if you can answer this. What does that look like? Does each kid get, hey, here's your itinerary, here's who you're going to be with, here's your chaperone, this is what we're trying to get accomplished? Do you know what that kind of looks like?
I think in that sense, it was more, it was just a coordinated effort, when it came to, like you said, you hit the ground, you're moving from point A to B to C, and there's like a plan of action and the messaging and all that is consistent. You're not getting different things from different coaches about how they see you fitting in and things like that. It's it's one of those things where a family can come in and they can see, okay, this is kind of how we fit, and this is what A&M's about, and they communicate whatever message they're trying to get across. And they've done a great job of that. I know with Caden Scott, that was a huge thing for him and his family. They just felt so comfortable. At the end of the visit, do you have any questions? And it's like, no, we're good. You pretty much hit every bullet point that we wanted to touch base on. So they just do a good job in that sense right there.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, let's continue down the Caden Scott trajectory, right? Break down his game. What makes him such an attractive get for A&M?
I mean, first of all, he's just a big frame, well put together prospect. When it comes to if you're wanting to draw up a future offensive tackle, that is it's going to look a lot like Caden Scott. He is 6'7", 295 pounds, really long arms, really big, long wingspan. Still a lot of room to grow in his frame. I know we've talked about him and Crownover kind of being similar in terms of just build and overall athleticism. He is, you see him move his feet. You see him bend and be able to get low, and he can. He's still got a long way to go, like all these high school offensive linemen. But this is a guy that it's not real hard to see how you could be talking about an NFL future down the line. And he's a guy that we've seen work at camps and really take to the coaching of Coach Cushing and that offensive line staff at A&M and just grasp things and take things from one rep to another and see improvement. And he's a very intelligent guy. He's not a outspoken guy. He's not somebody that's going to be your out in front, he may not be our Majah Reed Adams where he's banging on the chair and all that, but he's one of those guys when he talks, people listen, as a prospect, just a tremendous upside and a guy that has that future left tackle possibility there.
Jason, when they're getting these big guys on the offensive line, I know they have to present a path to play. But how much do they show? Look at this example. Look at Chase Basantis. Look at all these guys that they have seen kind of wait their turn and also sprinkle in some really high-level experience during the season. How much does that play into a pitch, you think? I guess it's independent on each kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Whenever they sit down with these guys, is they bring guys like Chase Basantis in, and they bring guys like Demetrius Crownover in to kind of talk about their journey. I know Majah Reed Adams played a role in some recruitments in the past, and has been, that's a key part of it is explaining. Okay, I think they do a good job of not making promises they can't keep. And saying, oh, well, you're definitely going to be this, that, and the other. But it's more of a, if you put in the work, here's the way to get there. And here's someone who put in the work and how it worked out for them. And so I think that's always something that's part of that presentation is here's how we see you fitting into what we're doing. And this is why we're recruiting you and why we think you're part of our plans in the next few years.
All right, Jason, let's hit a break. We'll finish off here. Recruiting Country brought to you by American Momentum Bank. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're a business owner and you're ready to take your operation to the next level, or maybe you're just a normal dude looking for a car for your kid, right? Hopefully that kid is 16 years old. You should check out Caldwell Country Chevrolet because they have an amazing selection of vehicles. They also have great pricing and amazing trade-in value. I use the word amazing too many times, but you get the feeling. That place is stupendous. Give me another word, Kayla. What's another word? Incredible. Outstanding. Their customer service is outstanding. They have free oil change for life as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. It's not a far drive either. We're talking about 15 minutes. The edge of Bryant to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. You notice how hard I hit that Ags? It was
Ags.
Yeah, it was like TexAgs Live. Like I had Tourette's. By the way, if you have Tourette's and you listen to the show, you're allowed to. By the way, this is brought to you by American Momentum Bank. American Momentum Bank is the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan, College Station. American Momentum Bank is committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions specifically designed to help build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side. We continue our dialogue with Jason Howell on the Puppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Mr. Howell, I know we've kind of sprinkled in some of these topics, but let's go a little bit deeper on the new state offers. Tell me a little bit about them and the caliber of player.
Well, first one was Sherrod Baker out of DeSoto. This is a guy that I think a lot of people were kind of waiting to happen. 5'10", 195 pounds. And he's coming off just a tremendous season at DeSoto. He was kind of like the third running back for DeSoto last in 24 with Tiger Ryden, setting school records and being such a consistent guy there for the Eagles. And then they had Myson Johnson Cook, a big huge running back. 6'2", 200-something pounds, and running 4.3 40s, and he ends up transferring out to East St. Louis. And Sherrod, who had a pretty good year as the third kind of option at running back, he was a strong one of their top receivers. He had over 1,000 yards all-purpose last year, or as in 24, and then this year as the bell cow. You could see him starting to really pick up steam in the spring with his running. He was ready to take on that new opportunity, and when the season came around, he was ready. He set, I don't know, there had to be 9, I think, different single season rushing marks for DeSoto. I think he had the longest touchdown run, the top 3 rushing games in school history, the most touchdowns in a game, 7 touchdowns. Had the most rushing yards in a single season at over 3,200 yards rushing, 55 total touchdowns. Played running back, quarterback, and receiver. Was also a return man. He had a historic his playoff run was incredible. 1,600 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns in the playoff alone. Helped the Eagles to a state championship there, and finished with over 4,400 all-purpose yards for the season. So he has seen his stock take a huge rise on the recruiting, just the recruiting boards of colleges across the country, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas A&M. Everybody has been coming in for Sherrod Baker, and he was on campus a couple times during the fall. Trooper Taylor has been on him for a while. The coaches have known about him, have had that communication. He's close friends with Tiger Ryden, so there's a lot of connectivity there, even before the offer. And he's making plans to get to College Station in the not too distant future, and we'll see how it plays out. But definitely got to keep an eye on, and an offer that a lot of people, a lot of A&M fans and a lot of DFW high school football fans have been wanting to see happen since the season. So, and then you had Kadarius McMiller, who checks in about 6'2", 195 pounds, Navy All-American Bowl guy himself. And coming off a strong season as well, had over, I think, 1,100, all-purpose yards this year, 20 touchdowns. Big guy, 6'2", I think I said 6'2", 109. But when it comes to, this is a guy when I went through in May of 23, was making my rounds through East Texas, I stopped through Tyler High, and they were talking about this kid that was in the 8th grade that had ran an unofficial like 10.45 100-meter at the 8th grade track meet. And they said, man, he's going to be the real deal. He's going to be a stud. And he has done nothing but live up to the hype. Kadarius McMiller, definitely a guy to keep an eye on out there. Next man up out there at Tyler High. They just continue to pump out the top prospects there at Kojo.
And what's next? What do you see on the timeline here over the next couple weeks and month?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have these coaches continue to hit the road before the dead period. You may have, I don't know if I see any commitments just imminent, like in the next few days or anything, but, we're tracking a lot of guys. There's A&M's very well positioned with several guys. We're going to see some guys making their official visits and lining up dates for the spring to come back. We talked to a lot of guys who visited for that first elite day, and most of them already had plans to come back towards the very beginning of spring ball. And I think we're going to see a lot of those start to get scheduled, and you may see a few more dominoes fall between now and then. But just a lot to watch out for as new offers go out, and these guys start to make some decisions and narrow their lists.
Jason, great work, buddy. Congratulations on everything, and I'm happy you're back, and I'm happy you like the work.
Absolutely. It's good to be back.
See you, bud. Jason Howell there on the Puppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Before we hit a break, we're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ms. Gaither, I believe there was a text from Sam earlier about LSU. Can you remind me what that was about?
Yeah, the text is from Sean, actually. But he actually said, I'm not picking us to lose to an LSU team who we dominated in back-to-back seasons just because they hired a coach who had success at another program. We saw how that turned out with Jimbo and Brian Kelly, so Lane Kiffin will have to prove he can beat Texas A&M while at LSU before I give him the respect. How do you feel about that?
I'm going to give him the respect because he's a really good coach.
I agree.
First off, I think, what time did he send that text? That was earlier in the show, right?
It was early. It was 8:36, yeah.
That was when we were talking about games you have circled on your calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
OB had LSU circled. I had the Texas game circled for different reasons. I can respect the program because the program. Ed O beat you, right? Like there are several, I think, bad head coaches that have beaten A&M over the years and other programs, right? Like it, and I think Lane Kiffin is an elite offensive coach. Can he get his team over the hump? He probably will at LSU at some point. But to me, it's not about fearing anybody. The question initially started like, what are the games that you circle? And I think people circle different games for different reasons. This could be the point of the season where you find out who the team really is. It could be, all right, this is our first loss of the year came against this team. We owe them one, right? For me, I look at the Texas game as that's the team that has cost you a chance to the SEC championship 2 years in a row. And they've gone to an SEC championship game, and you haven't. That's why I have them circled. And it's also November. I care about November for A&M because I think they had a much better November in 25, but it wasn't the kind of November that we wanted or end of the season than we wanted, right? That's their last 2 games were their worst 2 games. And yes, the talent did step up that you played against. But it's not about fearing anybody. What I fear is how long does it take to develop a new offensive line? We talked about LSU last year. Their offensive line was a bunch of transfers, and it didn't work out so well. Texas, it started off poor for them, but they certainly started to gel at the end of the season. And oh, by the way, the guy Sam on the text line talking about Marcel's numbers dipping and Arch is going higher towards the end of the year. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Partially is, I think, with more reps, Arch became a better quarterback. No doubt. The guy, I think some of the down talk about him was unfair, as just was the up talk about him. But for Marcel, I don't think the offensive line played as great towards the end of the year. The running game wasn't as good at the end of the year. And Marcel wasn't as good at the end of the year. Some of it was the talent they played against. Some of it was bad decision making. Some of it was you couldn't run the ball, which put your quarterback in a bad spot. I think everything can be related. And that all was spurred because of a conversation about where Marcel should be in the top 100. And like Johnny Harris said, he had him in the 90 to 120 range. I have not gone down and written every player. I'm not going to. That seems like what nerds do. I'm a nerd, but not in that kind of way. I don't have time to go through every team and everybody and come up with a list. But conventional thinking would be like, this quarterback was a quarterback of an 11-0 football team. They lost their last 2 games, and like Johnny said, that's going to carry more volume than had you lost it earlier. Agree. If that's why you want to ding him, I get it, right? But to me, he was a high-level quarterback, and the argument about yards in the air versus not, you need good wide receivers. You do. And Mario Craver had the amazing ability to get yak, as did Casey Concepcion. But they have to work together. Does Marcel have to take a huge step this year for this team to be better? Yes. The schedule is harder. The road games are certainly harder. But we'll figure that out when we get there. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with our buddy, Tom Schuberth. Right now, Daily Company, a family-owned, licensed, and insured business that offers HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services available to you 24/7/365. When it comes to their HVAC, we're talking about the thermostat repairs, the refrigerant leaks, the furnace failures, and the seasonal tune-ups. Plumbing-wise, leak repairs, clogged drains, water heater installation, and maintenance to keep those pipes into top shape. Electrical wiring and outlet repairs and upgrades for safety and efficiency. And on the generator side of things, repair, maintenance, installation to make sure you're prepared for power outages. I don't know if I think some folks in College Station, because of a car accident during the winter storm, were without power. Well, they can help you get that set up. They serve College Station, Houston, Austin, Bryan. Upfront pricing, no surprises. Contact the Daily Company at 979-260-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Ryan Bingham in the background. Nick's favorite, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, joined by our buddy Tom Schuberth. Break down some college basketball. I was thinking about you last night. That sounds weird. Let me give you more context. I started the Pyramid of Success that you gave me, the book of John Wooden.
Oh, nice. Some great principles there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm about 40 pages deep, and I knew he had won 1,000 national championships. I didn't realize it was, I don't know why. In the moment, I was like, I had forgotten it was 10 national championships.
Right.
And he started coaching there in the 1940s.
I know. They say he became a really good coach when he started getting really good players.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
And that usually does happen, of course.
Yeah, 1940s, and then when did he retire in the late 70s? Is that when he retired, or did he go
Correct.
deeper?
No, I don't think he went into the 80s. Let's see. I remember North Carolina State won the national championship.
So remind me, 83 against Hakeem that year?
Well, no, before that when they had David. Remember David Thompson?
Yeah.
And they went undefeated. Norm Sloan was the coach, and that was one of the times that UCLA did not win the national championship. Now I'm old enough to remember when Notre Dame stopped their 88-game winning streak. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was in South Bend. That was kind of very exciting. So, yeah, UCLA dominated in my era.
Well, I don't know if I remember that. I remember reading about that.
Sure, I know.
Because when was that? That
would have been in the 70s.
Yeah.
In the 70s, about 72.
I'm not 60, Tom.
I know. I forget how young everybody is, which is wonderful. Youth is the best.
No, I feel like an old man in this community. I do. So, is there a point in the season where you think things changed for A&M basketball? Like, they were always this high tempo buckyball, but it clicked. Is there a point? Is it an SEC play? Is it before? Because if you look at their losses, I mean, Bucky brought it up the other night. They haven't lost in regulation in months.
I know. The last 16 games, they've won 14 of them, and only 2 losses have been in overtime. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I was concerned when McKenzie went down, not so much offensively, because I think Bucky has enough weapons. And sometimes when you play small ball with the way he plays, it benefits you. But I was scared defensively that they weren't going to be able to rebound and guard the interior. And they've seemed to improve and get better. What Aggie has done, not only defensively, but offensively, is amazing to me. How he's really a one-man show down there as far as a true post player. He never takes a bad shot. He's super selective. He kicks it out when he needs to. He scores through you, not over you. Last year, a lot of the post players, they throw some shots up, remember, and you think, what is he doing? He has no chance of making that. I don't think all year I've ever seen Aggie take a shot where I didn't think it was going in, because he's going to get angles, he's going to be patient, and he's so crafty. And so, to me, he's been the most impressive and led the defense, and then he's just done a great job of being a leader. So
he hit a 3 the other game.
I know. And that was what I was going to say. I wanted to sit behind South Carolina's bench the other night because I thought they were going to do a good job defensively of stopping A&M. And so I love watching the coach and how he reacts with his assistants. Well, they had to pick their poison, who they were going to let shoot threes. And then Aggie makes one, Deba makes one, and they're like, what's going on here? You can't let, Griffin or
Zach Clemens hit 3.
Yeah,
I mean, you allow that to happen, but if he's hitting it, it's going to be a long night.
Absolutely, and that's what it was, a long night. I know. I think they were, hey, let him keep shooting, and then when he got on that roll, it was like impossible to stop him then.
The other thing that I find, there was a point in this season where I was like, yeah, they play really good offense, but I don't love their defense. They force turnovers, but it's more because of the pace. I think they play really good defense, sound defense regardless.
That's what I've been surprised at. I can't believe it, really. And again, I in a bad way, I'm waiting for a team to attack it and see if they can score in the interior. I think I referenced Tennessee when we lost in overtime or double overtime to them. I was surprised how inefficient they were in attacking Bucky's changing defense, particularly the zone. When they got it in the middle, they were always successful because they had the size advantage and got first and second shots. But I haven't seen a team since then or that has attacked Bucky's defense and been effective with it, and certainly I'm sure Georgia's going to have a game plan, and then Alabama and Florida coming up. But so impressive. I mean, that's what's amazing is that if you have one deficiency in Buckyball, it's your half-court defense, but we haven't seen it yet.
So I always thought in basketball, if you don't have like a go-to guy, a closer, or a number 1A, 1B, it's hard to win basketball games. And that was my concern with this team, and it might be in these next 5 games. That being said, I think some roles are being more defined. We're seeing it just happen. Rylan Griffin is that 1B to Rashawn Agee, 1A or 1B, right? Like I feel like he's emerging. And then you can have the Clements Knight, the Dominguez Knight, who, by the way, was leading the team in scoring for a long time. Like I think then it makes them much more dangerous.
Absolutely. You know, when we first started watching Bucky Ball, or me in particular, you know, I like to watch guys, their body language and their attitudes and all that. And I thought Griffin and Pops were the two that were fighting it the most because they were used to kind of having the total freedom. They were kind of the go-to guy on their teams. And now they've embraced it as much as anybody. And what I love about it is watching them pass the ball. Like, to be a good three-point shooter, you've got to have that ability. And, you know, like Dominguez, I mean, he's got the perfect stroke. But to be really efficient, you've got to have a good pass. You know, you can throw off a good three-point shooter by not putting it in a shooting pocket. You know, throw it to the side, throw it high, throw it low. And then it makes it more difficult to shoot it in rhythm. These guys, you can almost see the concentration of delivering it right in their pocket, and those guys are ready to shoot it and get a quick release. And I think that's part of the reason we've had this balanced scoring and everybody's shooting at a high percentage.
I act like I'm a coach sometimes on this show, and I'm like, it's got to be so hard to prepare for a team like A&M because there's no way to mimic it. What about the second time you play them?
Well, that's why I mentioned that last week. You know, I think typically the teams that press and play unusual, it's easier to beat them the second time around or later in the season because you're used to it. You know what the Princeton offense is. It's what a lot of teams are running now. Back in the day, Pete Carell was the longtime coach at Princeton, and he ran this offense called the Princeton offense. That's what it was named because of him coaching there. And it was really an offense, it was prior to the shot clock when it got invented, and then there was a 35-second shot clock, a 45, so you could run it. And it's a kind of continuity where you take advantage of defensive mistakes. Now everybody runs it, and people are accustomed to it. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Bucky Ball, but there's not many teams that are playing a unique style that Bucky is, and so it is hard to adjust and prepare for him. So I'm anxious to see if teams are able to do it. When you're shooting the ball like they did the other night, that was so fun to watch. And just, I didn't realize how many threes they made. They made way more threes than they made twos. That very seldom happens. And that they made them at such a high rate, and they just kept coming. And I think South Carolina, they would have, like, it was like a fight. They would have liked to call it in the first round. They were just demoralized. So
this may sound like a slight to the current players, and I don't mean it that way. So please follow me on this. But what is this offense going to look like in a couple of years when they get bigger guys and different, you know, maybe a different athletic profile? Because it's working right now. It is, but I can only imagine that if you have other pieces that play better with your back to the basket, although it's going to be hard to get somebody better than AG with his back to the basket, more slashers. I don't know. Like, what could it look like?
Well, that's a great question, David. You know, to me in this offense, it's chemistry is everything, and then you got to be able to shoot the basketball. I mean, if Bucky could describe it better than I can, but you certainly got to be able to shoot. He wants every player, including his post player, to be able to knock down an outside shot so he keeps everybody honest. So sometimes you get better talent and your chemistry goes away, and maybe that could happen. But I love this team. I keep waiting, you know, is someone going to knock them off? You know, the way they're playing, the thing I love about Bucky, you watch him coach his guys. He's an incredible teacher. You know, there's certain coaches that can always bring out the best in any athlete they coach, and I think Bucky's one of those guys. I'm watching the South Carolina coach, and no offense to him, but he's in their guy's face almost every trip, every time out. He's yelling at him, screaming at him. That's not the way to react when you're trying to play against pressure. So I'm really looking forward to the last half of the season and then seeing what Bucky can do in the future in recruiting.
Last thing for you, Tom, we've got about a minute. When you look at this stretch right now, these 5 games, this is, I don't know if we're going to know everything, but we're going to know a lot.
I think so. I was talking to Luke outside earlier, and, you know, I'm worried about all of them. But Georgia, since Mike White's been there, I've never been that impressed with their grit and they're a good, talented team, but it seems like you always have an opportunity to get back in the game. So if we were to fall behind or maybe didn't play a lead in the first 20 minutes, I think we'll have a chance. I think the true test is going to be at Alabama and then having a really good team in Florida, not because they're talented, just their experience and their moxie. So I think this is if we get through this stretch and are successful, no telling what this team can do.
Tom, thank you, buddy. Appreciate
you.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with the shortest of short segments next on TexAgs Live. "38-minute music. 38 minutes. I counted, Nick. He's not listening.
Talking to Coach. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're scouting.
Scouting. High school scouting. By the way, let me tell you folks about Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community, respect for the native landscape, and 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and trails. They want to connect families to nature and to each other They're committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. Remember, you can go hiking, biking, canoeing. You can do it all there at Milliken Reserve. Check out the website, millikenreserve.com. Kaylee Gaither, what a debut at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
It's
like
been
a
great.
polished veteran.
Well, thank you so much.
I know we've had a couple like first timers that were like, oh, wow, that was like, I think Justin, am I right about Justin had one of the best debuts last semester?
Yeah, Justin did great.
I'm assuming Cooper was really good his first time, but I'm mad at him because he has bad sports takes. Anyway, Kaylee, you want to finish out the show with a good talking point?
Yeah, Coach talked about the many threes that we had against South Carolina. We made 17 for 39, accounting for 51 of our 92 points. So many threes, and we're looking to score some more against Georgia. So really excited for that game.
You and I both. Thank you very much, and congrats on a great debut. That's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, unfortunately, the fan show, guys. Yeah, I know, guys. I'm sorry. We'll see you then. TexAgs.